This is the NetherRealm Nobody, and I'm here to review Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm, Episode 2, Sting of the Scorpion. My god, that was a mouthful. Alrighty, so we're back with the second episode from the series, and I misspoke in the last week's episode. I said that there was 12 episodes in Defenders of the Realm. Nope, 13. So we're getting a 13th one. So, anyways, in this episode, Sting of the Scorpion, as the title implies, Scorpion has arrived, and he has an army of the undead. That's right, and he's planning on going into Shang Tsung's. Even though they say Shang Tsung in this one, we'll use the correct pronunciation. Shang Tsung's tomb, and yeah, the defenders have got to stop him before he does it. Alrighty, so with this episode right here, we kick things off. It picks up exactly where the first episode, leaves off, or left off. And I can't really stress this enough because I don't think anybody fully remembers like TV in the 90s. Like, with the exception of like soap operas, there was no continuity between TV shows. Like, there may be an overarching storyline that they will cover in like the premiere and the finale, and maybe a couple episodes in the middle. But for the most part, it was Monster of the Week every week. Every time you watched like Darkwing Duck or fucking Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Home Improvement, Full House, even the X-Files, which, yes, they had an overarching storyline, would have just random shit in the middle as well. So, for a mid-90s cartoon to literally just continue on with these two episodes, I was a little impressed with that, just right off the bat. And I definitely would have, as a kid, I would have, freaking loved it. So, we left off last week's episode with a message from Nightwolf saying that Scorpion is on his way. He has torn a rip in the fabric of the Earth Realm, and he is showing up, and he means business. Well, he's following through, and he is, he's coming in right now. So, we're at the base, and right off the bat, we get a lot of, because, last week they kind of implied, that Jax and Raiden kind of have this, they like to bicker a lot. They tag each other verbally and everything. Well, Sonya steps up to your game too, dude, and she just gets right up in Raiden's face and talks shit big time. It's crazy. But anyways, they're once again, hey, we gotta stop Scorpion. We're a team now. Sub-Zero's now joined up, so let's go stop him. And they jump in their jets. I forgot to mention this last week as well. The jets are also submarines. Because you fly, and then when there's water, you can go into the water, and then you're a sub. And then it comes up in the cave, and that's where their base is at. I mentioned last week that it's funny that like everybody who's just a martial artist, some of them are Shaolin monks, one of them's a street cop, but they all know how to fly fighter jets now. And that now doubles as submarines. Now, I have never flown a jet or a submarine. I gotta assume they're different, right? I don't know if there's any like pilots out there or captains of submarines or fighter jets. Can you do both? Like, I'm curious. I really don't know. I just think it's funny that these guys who literally are just known to be martial artists or cops or whatever, but they're not pilots or captains of submarines, but now they are. So there you go. I guess they got their CDL or some shit on the weekend, huh? Anyway, so they jump in their jets and they head off. And of course, Raiden has to stay behind because, again, he does Elder God shit. And then Nightwolf is manning the control panel. He's manning the station at home. So they start flying out there, and we pick up again with Liu Kang and Katana, their conversation from last week, where Liu Kang is again doubting himself, thinking that had Katana not gave him the clue, of how to beat Sub-Zero, the original Sub-Zero, he doesn't think he could have done it. And of course, the whole time she's just like, listen, I kind of showed you the way, but you had to do it. Like, you still had to pull it off. It takes a great warrior to do that, I'm kind of in the middle on it because I'm like, I don't know. You did kind of have help. I mean, would you have figured that out on your own? would he have beat your ass before that would have happened? I don't know. It is one of those things where it's like, I know the lessons, like, I don't know, the power's within yourself and you gotta believe in yourself, but at the same time, it's like, she did help you out. She told you the weakness, so I mean, I don't know, give her 50% of the credit, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so that's kind of weighing heavily on his mind. And so they get to, you know, where the beacon or where the signal's coming from, where the tear in the realm is. And right off the bat, we see, when you say it out loud, it just sounds ridiculous. We see that, in fact, Scorpion does have an army of the undead. They're like skeletons, I guess, but like the top half seems normal. Like their arms don't seem like they're bony arms. It's almost like, I don't know, they got like their torso's ripped up and you got the skeletal bottom, but at the top's like, I guess it's still flesh, but they don't show blood because it's a cartoon for kids, so maybe they're like rotting corpses, I guess. I don't know. Either way, though, they are flying the Scorpion jets. The Scorpion flyers, whatever you call them. They're fighter jets in the shape of a scorpion. And I'm like, what? Do they have like, forget even them getting their license to train to do all that shit. Where are they manufacturing these jets at? Are they manufacturing these in the Outworld? Are these done in the Netherrealm? Are they outsourcing it to Earthrealm and they pick them up from Earthrealm and go? I don't know. It boggles the mind. But either way, these undead guys, they are flying around in their fighter jets. They have a big dogfight with defenders. They get shot down and then they have fight on the ground. And everybody shines. Even my boy Stryker. He is. I thought I had to defend him. He's not a laughingstock in this series. He's a capable fucking fighter, and he fights off like 3 of these dudes at once. It's incredible. He like throws his nightstick at him and it twirls and just bowls him over and shit. Pretty impressive, Stryker. You're doing good, buddy. I'm proud of you. I will say, so the undead, like I mentioned, you know, they got kind of like, you know, skeleton. Cause they were like, oh my god, they're skeletons. They're not really skeletons. Like I said, they kind of have whole parts to them too. But they all wear the same, like, headdress / helmet thing. It looks like a King Tut. Like, if you would stripe these blue and gold, it would be King Tut's headwear or whatever. That's what it looks like. They're just red and silver headwear on top. And then zombie bottom or whatever. And they're called the undead, which, to me, I know what that means. They're not really dead, but they should be dead, but they're moving around. But like, I always associate undead with vampires, and the living dead with zombies. These would be more like the Evil Dead, you know, Army of Darkness. That's kind of what these things are. But whatever, I'm splitting hairs. I know, I digress. So we get Scorpion. He shows up, and we get kind of a backstory with him. So basically, with Scorpion, it's different than the video games. Basically, what it is, and this may have fell in line with the comics, I believe. If I'm wrong, correct me, but I feel like I've read this somewhere else. So this wasn't the first time I heard this backstory. But what it is basically is, you know, when like warriors die, you know, they go to Valhalla. You know, if you're a good person, you go to heaven or whatever. And so like his clan goes to like this other realm or whatever. But since he's so dishonorable, it like closed off before he can get to it. And he then gets taken down to the Realm of Lost Souls, which is basically the Netherrealm. They didn't call it Netherrealm yet, but that's where he's at, the Netherrealm. And so, but when he's down there, he's so evil, he's just like, I will be back. And he takes all of these dark souls into his body, which, correct me if I'm wrong again, but isn't that Ermac? Like, isn't that what his gimmick was? He was just a vessel, a body, that was just housing dark souls until he became like an animated warrior or some shit? I don't know, I feel like that's what that is. Anyways, that's what Scorpion has going on for him right now. And so he pops up, and yeah, he decides to bring his army of the undead to the Earthrealm. And it turns out he's getting another portal, and he just, boom, goes into it. And they realize, what's he doing? He's going realm to realm, resurrecting the most dishonorable soldiers or warriors who have died in battle, and he's making his own army. And apparently, once he gets the full army, he's coming back to Earthrealm. Interesting storyline. I don't know if I like it as Scorpion or not. Like, even in the games, he's more of a loner. I know they, you know, talk about his clan or whatever, but it's like, we've always known him as a loner, especially in this stage of his life. he's full-blown loner. In this show, however, I don't know. A lot of the coolness, like, no, Scorpion is my favorite Mortal Kombat character. He's so badass. However, they take everything that made him badass. Like, he was more badass in the Legend Begins, the shitty Mortal Kombat short. And, of course, the Mortal Kombat movie, he's awesome. But here, he's reduced to almost like, he reminds me of like a G.I. Joe villain. Blast, I'll get you next time. I don't know, it's just, it's so cheesy and corny. But whatever. So, he gets his army and they go to the next world, which is Outworld. Now, of course, Raiden can't go. And, of course, again, Jax and Sonya give him shit about that. But he's just like, hey, I can't go. You have to do this on your own. But I can, if you can get them, you know, knocked out or incapacitated, I can, you know, and throw them into this other portal. I can seal that portal up. And I'm like, well, which is it? Are you completely powerless in the other world? Or can you now seal up I don't know. It's whatever. But that's the plan. So their plan is to, you know, trap Scorpion and whatever undead army members he has, throw them into a portal. Raiden's going to seal it up. So they travel into Outworld, and, you know, we get multiple conversations, and that's when Sub-Zero kind of drops Scorpion's backstory and why they are fighting. And it turns out, you know, in addition to all that stuff about Scorpion, his clan, the Shuri Ryu and Lin Kuei, which we don't get either of those by name in this, they're going to have a fight, you know. We do get Shao Kahn and Motaro name dropped in this episode. We don't see them, but we get them name dropped. So when they're in Outworld, they're, you know, they're keep it quiet. We can't, you know, arouse suspicion that we're here because we don't want to anger Shao Kahn and his armies. And then when they're trying to find out where the hell Scorpion could be going, they realize he's not going to take the souls of, you know, the honorable dead. They're going to take them from the, you know, dishonorable, the evil. And there's only one place in Outworld, I guess, they bury their dishonorable. And since Kitana is a former citizen of Outworld, she, you know, she's leading the way in this one. And she's like, to get there, we have to pass through Motaro's camps or whatever. And we can't, you know, anger him or the Centaurian army or we're fucked. So that's kind of the thing. We also get a brief conversation between Kitana and Sub-Zero where, you know, we know Kitana is from Edenia, even though here they're saying she's from Outworld, but I guess that's after the merger. I don't know if they ever bring up Edenia in this animated series. I watched the whole thing once. I'm hazy on some of the details, so I need to, I'm watching it again. But anyways, but they're also alluding to, like, Sub-Zero is not from Earthrealm. And it's like, yeah, he is. What the fuck? But here, they're like, oh no, Earthrealm's not your home either, you know? It's like, but it is. But whatever. Beyond all that, so they're traveling. And then, of course, the army of the dead pop up again. This time they have more of a mummy look to them. But they're all still wearing the same headdress thing. I don't know, because the first batch, the zombie-looking ones, skeleton zombies, they also had the same headdress, and they were from Earthrealm. And then these guys had the same headdress, and they're from Outworld. So it's like, I don't know, I guess all dishonorable warriors from this time period had the same helmet, I guess. But whatever, you know, they got their eyes set on Scorpion. It turns out he's going to this one tomb. And who's the most evil, dishonorable person from Outworld? Shang Tsung. And they realize, holy crap, he's going to raise him from the dead, force him to join his army, then he'll be unstoppable. And I'm like, again, this is a really cool storyline. I just don't like that Scorpion's the one leading the charge here. Almost anybody else I've been okay with except Scorpion. But whatever. So, at this point, more Army of the Dead pop up, and we get a big fight. I noticed this happened in the last episode, too, and I didn't mention it, but I noticed it a second time, so now I gotta say something. It seems like they split them in half, the fighters, each time, but it seems like they keep the martial artists on one side and the cops on the other. It seems like Stryker, Jax, and Sonya are always fighting in one group, and then Liu Kang, Kitana, and Sub-Zero are always fighting in the other. Just something I noticed. I don't know. Maybe they'll break it up and mix it up a little bit as we go on. I'm sure they will, but first two episodes seem like that's the pairing each time. So anyways, as the cops are fighting the undead army, Kitana, Liu, and Sub-Zero, they make it through, but they get attacked by more mummies. Of course, Sub-Zero is like, I gotta stop Scorpion. He goes after Scorpion. Liu Kang's trying to tell him, like, listen, you can't just attack him with anger. You gotta use your brain on this one. And of course, Sub-Zero ignores and goes right up there, or right up after him. Liu Kang looks at Kitana like, can you handle yourself? But she's already kicking everyone's ass, so she's like, certainly, go get him. So Liu Kang follows Sub-Zero. So as Scorpion is getting close to the tomb. Behind him, Sub-Zero. They have a quick fight. Scorpion beats his ass and just like sends him down the flight of stairs, the stone temple pyramid stairs. Boom, boom, boom. And so Liu Kang catches up to him, and he's just like, I told you couldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. And then they have their own little moment. And, of course, Liu Kang is like, I never felt like I was worthy enough, as a fighter now. Like, everyone kept saying, I'm this great Mortal Kombat champion, but I wonder, if I didn't have the help of Katana, could I have beat your brother? And Sub-Zero is like, you know what? I thought the same thing myself. And I realized, no, you had it in you all along. Of course you could have beat him. I think you're just a better warrior than he ever was. And, of course, the fact that he was, fought with dishonor, blah, 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 you would have won. So this gives Liu Kang confidence. He goes up there to fight Scorpion. Have a good little fight. Scorpion. All that kept bugging me about Scorpion, aside from his crappy voice and the fact that he's trying to lead an undead army for some reason, was, he does have the teleport punch at this point. He can jump back and then come behind you and block you, or, punch you in the back of the head. But that's the extent of it. He can teleport, fine. I'll give him that. But, like, here, he's going full-on invisible. And I'm like, that's reptile territory. What are you doing here? What are we doing here? But whatever, he goes invisible. And then at one point, he even, he has his chain come out of his arm. Usually it's a rope and a spear. And then even in the movie, it's like a rope-ish tentacle that has the little snapper thing at the end of it, instead of the blade like in the games. Here, it's a gold chain. He upgraded, I guess. And then on the head of it, it's like a little reptile head. Like a little, I don't know, like a little velociraptor. I thought maybe a dragon, but I don't think it was a dragon. It made a weird noise. Either way, it's a little reptile head on the end of it. And of course, he's fighting Liu Kang with that and everything. Of course, Liu Kang will overcome, kick his ass, knock him out. And then Sub-Zero gets back in there and he's going to kill him. Sub-Zero's going to pick him up and like launch him off this, pyramid. But Liu Kang's like, hey, if you do this, you're no better than your brother, fight with honor. And so they take him to the portal, dump him in, Raiden shows up, seals it up. Hey, we should all take a vacation. We should have a break. We should go do something. Go to the amusement park, whatever. Let's go have some fun. But the little radio thing goes off and Liu Kang's like, whoa, hold that thought. And then, of course, it's Nightwolf to tell him, hey, there's been another rip in the realms. And they're like, well, Mortal Kombat continues, and then they go off. So that was episode 2, Sting of the Scorpion. Again, I like it. I mean, it picked up where the first one left off. It is more the same. But again, I'm looking at it, this is made for kids. And I'm looking at 10-year-old NetherRealm Nobody. He would have loved it. I would have loved this as a kid. It spoke to me. They have fighter jets that turn into submarines. That's ridiculous. Unless you're James Bond. But not these guys. They're kicking ass. They introduce Scorpion. It feels like, they keep expanding the mythology the same. Again, we got all these characters. And they're not doing the Annihilation thing of just introducing everybody to kill them off. It's like, no, we're putting them on back burners. You're hearing names, not seeing them yet. I don't know. I dig it. I really wish I could have watched this as a kid. I think I would have loved it even more then. And then my fandom for it would be even greater now. But as it is, like just now watching it. Either way, though, I'm giving this all a thumbs up. It's a good follow-up. The only, I guess, cons I have with this is, again, I don't like Scorpion's portrayal. I don't like the fact that he's trying to raise this army of the undead. I get that his cool storyline hasn't been cemented yet in the games, because it's not until Mythologies / Part 4 that we realized that Quan Chi was kind of pulling the strings on both Sub-Zero and Scorpion. So we don't have that. So I get that. But at the same time, it's like, you guys could have just left Scorpion silent and mysterious, and you would have got more out of it. And you could have had anybody else in this role of raising the undead or whatever. But whatever, it is what it is. So, and then I guess the other thing I was just kind of like, again, it's made for kids, so I'll give it the pass. But the bickering with Jax and Sonya against Raiden, it was pretty cheesy and corny. I'm not going to lie, but it is what it is. They're developing their personalities, I guess. So, we'll go with it, I guess. But yeah, that's really my only complaints, though. Overall, I'm still giving a thumbs up. Next week, we hit episode 3. So, guys, if you've seen this episode, if you've seen the series, let me know what you thought about it. Comment section down below. That's all I got, guys. Thank you for watching. Until next time.